We're a boutique
podcast.
And I'll always be there for him. And not just through the good times, through the bad, too.
Mark Feldhauer.
On line 4?
I'm not here. We represent
The Red Shovel Network.
I work with great people, and I have the respect and the appreciation of my clients.
He's a lying motherfucker. Can I say motherfucker?
We take care of a client's individual needs. If there's anything I've learned after 20 years of getting involved with clients' personal lives, it's don't get involved with clients' personal lives. In 25 years of business,
The Soul of Detroit.
has always shown a profit, and that is not going to stop now.
ML Elric.
You're depraved. You make it sound like a bad thing.
You asked her to Roger the question out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey, kids. It's your old pal, ML Elric. With some bad news here on the Soul of Detroit. This news broke Sunday night, and yes, thanks for taking the music down. I think this needs to be sort of austere. We found out late, and to our shock and chagrin, that Shawn Windsor entered the transfer portal. Unfortunately, there were no takers, and we forgot to lock the door behind him. So he has returned to the program. Shawn Windsor, a five-star recruit out of Ypsilanti, not known for his speed, not known for his Wonderlic score, not known for his
energy level.
Yeah, he's
got a low motor.
Yeah, he has a low motor. It's like one of those motors in a Segway, but it consumes very little fuel. And he is back, and we think that this means that this could be a challenging season. So, Shawn, thank you for trying to take your talents elsewhere, but finding that this was the only place they would be, let's just say, accommodated.
It's good to be here, and I'm sorry that I ruined what is your normal opening of the show because I didn't want to listen to your Neanderthal bullshit in the pregame. You know what I mean?
That was a nice fight.
And if I,
but I didn't expect you to carry it over to tape, so to speak.
If I could, well, we are live, but thank you for paying attention to the way this show has operated for the last 202 episodes. But I do want to say,
no, I'm stuck in the past with technology. You're stuck in the past with everything else. I get it.
I do want to say, and I hope not to offend, that you look very fetching today.
No, I'm just.
And by fetching, I mean you look like a dog because dogs fetch.
I'm looking forward to warmer weather, so Mark will be in shorts, so his calves will be back out again.
Now, who is the objectifier?
Yeah, exactly.
This is
That kind of is opposite of what you were saying before the show.
This is the pot calling the kettle coriander, or whatever they make.
Do you want to tell the listeners what we were talking about? So they're not just coming in cold, out of context?
We were talking about a person who's on TV, and ML
Our guest is saying no. He's saying no.
I'll paraphrase.
And this is Mark Feldhauer, of course, here with the Soul of Detroit.
Talking about a person, and ML said she was attractive, and you got very mad at that.
No, that's not quite.
No, what I said was
pretty much.
They were hardworking.
Yeah, that is
true. They were smart. They were a fantastic human being.
And a stone cold fox.
No, and I said a dime. I said something like a killer dime or something like that.
I know.
You're a beautiful woman.
Yeah, you're trying to change Fox. It's okay because you updated Fox to dime. Serious question real quickly. So
yeah, but when I called in from Chicago, sorry, that's from last week.
Oh, okay. No, at first I thought you were talking about pass because on a basketball court, a dime is a pass, right? Anyway, or an assist. Whatever you want.
And in Ann Arbor, a dime is a good night out.
Well, a dime isn't
during hash bash.
But a dime bag is not a dime bag anymore anyway, right?
You know, Shawn, I pretty much just try and follow the law, but maybe a miscreant like you can inform us on what things are like on the wild side.
I don't know. I thought it was legal these days. Real quickly, though, it's a friend of mine's father was in the hospital. He's okay. He's in his mid-80s. And she was telling me the other day, her and her brother had to several times tell their father to stop oogling and talking to the nurses about how they looked and what they were wearing and their makeup and all that sort of stuff. And like, Dad, you can't do that anymore. Now, he's of obviously that generation, right? And he's in his mid-80s. But what about our age? Because I find that some are leaning that way and then some are trying to change. Where are you?
I thought you were in your mid-80s.
Well, yeah, by energy level. But where are you, Mike?
What's that?
Or do you go into the hospital? Do you go into the grocery store and just say, "Oh yeah, nice eyeshadow" or whatever?
If I see someone who's attractive, I happen to notice that they're attractive, and it's usually because they've dressed in a way to accentuate what they think are their assets.
It's called reading the room.
People like to be
Compliments.
admired for their appearance if you are respectful. Now, if you go up and you say, "Hey, baby, you, me, and my waterbed are going to make some ocean motion," that's outrageous and offensive. But if you see somebody who clearly has worked very hard to make themselves look attractive, and you say, "You know, you look very nice today," what's wrong with that?
That's not for you. They're doing it for themselves, and I would bet most people, most strangers, because you're talking about strangers, right? They don't want comments. They just want you to pull your check card out or whatever and move along.
Yeah, but
Say hi if you want.
Isn't there a difference between a cat call and just saying, that your hair looks very nice or something?
No, there is a difference. There's also a difference between saying nothing and saying you look nice to a total stranger.
Well, it's about being polite, though.
You say you like the Betty Boop watch or whatever. I don't know.
What? Where are you hanging out?
I mean, if they've got a piece of something on that's a little
is
different.
this the 1930s?
No, it was a thing for a while. But anyway.
Nice gams, baby.
There's a big difference between saying, "You look very nice today," to someone who...
Or you look like a whore. No, you're right. There is. But that's right. Just say nothing.
Is there another transfer portal window? I mean, I know there were two. Is there a third coming up?
If you think that out in society right now that most people want those compliments about their physical appearance from strangers, then you're out of touch.
No, I'm not walking around saying that. You asked me. This is your premise. And again, warning to everybody on this show: if Shawn says this is only going to take a minute, be prepared to go
I'm done.
have a colonoscopy. But if somebody looks very nice and it looks like they've gone to some trouble to look very nice, if I see somebody at church and they look great, I'm going to say, "You look terrific today." What's offensive about that?
If you know them.
I mean, if a stranger comes up to me and pays a compliment, I don't say, "I don't know you. You should not say anything about who I am or what I look like."
Wait a second. This is the second time you've referenced church. We're talking about it in the pre-show. Well, since when do you go to church?
Just about every Sunday.
Do you?
Thanks for the show prep.
Okay.
And I know you don't know that because I haven't seen you there, so that's okay. I'm not judging you.
I mean, I knew you went to
being
church
a
when you were
heathen
running
who will probably
for
be
office,
consigned
but-
to the flames of hell. I mean, if you think a nice aftershave is called brimstone, welcome to eternity, being skewered by devils.
No, smells more like high karate.
So I was just taking you back to your southern roots. You, sir! It's time to repent! You need to take a look inside! And you need to see the true Shawn Windsor, which is probably somewhat underwhelming. But you do look nice today. I mean, I just can't help myself. I hope that it doesn't offend you.
I'm wearing your swag. I got to walk around with your name on my chest.
Well, great ass! That was Tom Tafelski, who's our guest today. We thought we should probably
not.
We should probably bring him at some point.
It sounds a lot like Al Pacino. That's nice.
Tom is joining us today because he's going to talk about
It's okay.
what happens to the players who don't show up on anybody's mock draft. The players who are considered the tryhards, the folks who maybe have had to work harder than folks who are recruited, touted, praised, courted, what have you, but who have a lot to contribute. Tom is a sports agent, and he's here to talk to us about players who didn't get their name called on draft day and how they're still going to make their dream come true. And he's one of the guys who helps do that. So we appreciate Tom joining us today. And Tom, may I say, you look like shit. Is that better? Is that it?
Why don't you just say nothing? Say, welcome to the studio.
Well, he's got a great
Thanks for
jacket
joining
on.
us.
He's got a great shirt on. I mean, he dressed up. He
does look nice. I like the Argyle socks.
He's a
that's
fucking
a nice
sports
jacket.
agent. Of course he dressed up.
Oh, now you're
nice
stereotyping sports agents?
See how ridiculous all this is?
Maybe you should talk to your priest about that or your shaman.
The pre-game prep that you guys did was phenomenal because you're following the script to the T. So, Mike, if I would have had some swag to put on as a gift beforehand, I would have looked as dapper as Mr. Over here, Mr. Fallhauer or Mr. Windsor.
Well, he's got the soprano tracksuit, and I just wear the company hoodie.
He probably got it from Augie, who was raffling off the other day.
By the way,
the
Tracksuit 9, they raised $3,000 for children's charity. So thanks to everybody who went to Whiskey in the
But
Jar.
did the people look good when they were doing it?
I don't look at people that way, Shawn. I just say, I hope you're here to have a good time. And by the way, great job in organic chemistry. That was a really nice quiz you took.
I think Sean's dying now.
I think he was smoked.
Cut to him, Joe.
No, I think he was struck down by the righteous.
Okay.
This show is brought to you by David Hall and Hall Financial, who probably wishes it wasn't. And of course, Luke Nowacki of Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, who is, and I have to say it because it's true, it's not my opinion, he's a very fine-looking man.
Handsome gentleman.
He will not let this go the rest
And he
of the
will
show.
help
You understand that, right?
He will help you prepare for the kind of retirement that lets you just relax and not say anything to nurses in a very comfortable place.
He'll make references to that and the Nepo baby the rest of the show you watch.
Not to keep the subject going.
Oh, and also we're brought to you by the Caju Cafe, and we'll tell you a little bit more about all the great stuff going on at the Caju Cafe this month. You can find out more at cajucafe.com. You will find me and some incredibly, well, I don't want to say attractive looking people, but people who you might call attractive if Shawn wasn't there.
Hey, the muscle
weighing every syllable that comes out of your mouth.
The muscles that are there are phenomenal.
Yeah,
as a Sicilian American, part of me, even though last name's Polish, I got a little Polish, Irish, mostly Sicilian. The muscles there are fantastic.
And this is a guy who represents athletes, so he knows about muscles.
That's right. So,
Mark, I interrupted you. I think you were going to compliment my hair, which I hope you would because I want to be.
Now.
I want to be judged by the content of my character.
No, it bothers me that these hard and fast rules. You can read a room. Some people want to be complimented. Some people don't want to be complimented.
Or you can read a church, which I do on a regular basis. I may have mentioned that earlier.
It's like First Amendment. It's about time, space, or what is it? Time, place, and manner, right?
You're not on the campaign trail anymore. Why are you going to church?
Yeah,
he wants to.
60% of the people in District 4 really appreciate my journalism. So, you can look at it as I got killed as a candidate, but I really like to think it was a overwhelming support for my work in the Fourth Estate.
You can read a room, but you're still taking a chance when you're talking to somebody you don't know.
Yeah, it's my chance.
So no, not
you
really.
You can't change people. You can only change how you react to them.
No, just don't take the chance. Why make somebody feel like that? For what?
To be nice.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to be nice.
Yeah,
Go shovel their driveway.
That's one of them.
Demonstrate one.
Go mow their lawn.
That sounds a little forward.
Go pick up their script.
Brought to you by Manscaped. Okay, anyway.
Also today we will talk about my campaign, my crusade, if you will, to try and keep the media in Detroit City Hall because we are about to leave, and if we leave, we will never get back. And if we don't get back in, we will never see people doing things in City Hall that they wish we didn't see. So we'll have more of that on the show a little later. But we have got to get to Tom because Tom is making deals. He is trying to get guys hooked up with the pros. And Tom, you work with a lot of guys. You've been doing this for about, 20 years?
30 years, actually.
30 years, okay.
It's 1992.
Okay.
30 years.
30 years. I know, I don't look that old. But
No, but you look really good.
You look
thank you.
For 30 years, yeah.
I dressed up.
Oh, he looks good,
you
Sean. Does
complimented
he?
him, huh?
Oh, well, maybe you should just talk to him about what he does
We've got
instead
to
of.
know
Why
each
would you
other.
say that?
We've bonded the last 30 minutes, right?
But
So
did
we've
you
got to
ask
know
him
each other a
if he
little
would mind if you commented on his appearance?
We texted.
You
I
took
gave
some
him
liberties.
permission.
bit. He didn't have a tie on, so he's open to it.
And what kind of pic did Sean send you?
His portrait from the press.
Okay.
Press pic.
I never had hair.
He's got a cleft chin in that picture, quite a cleft, if I'm reading it correctly. But anyway, Tom, tell us a little bit how you got into this gig and about the success you've had, because as you've mentioned a couple times, I guess, trying to impress us, you've been to 5 Super Bowls with your clients because you've taken these guys from the fringe to the front row.
Yeah. So I got started in 1992, graduated from Michigan, and I was there and I was taking a class, and I happened to have a a couple guys from the Fab Five. I was a senior that needed a credit, and I took a class.
And they already had contracts with Ed Martin, right? So you had to...
As history would then unfold and show, maybe. Allegedly, for legal purposes. No, so I was in class at Michigan. I was taking a business class, and it was a sports business. And I thought this would be something that would be pretty neat to do. And at first, I did it to, kind of, once I graduated, I had a void, right? I wanted to see football. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to go travel around the country. And I thought it'd be a pretty neat thing to do. So I did a little research, worked for somebody for about 3 months, figured if that guy could do it, I sure could do it. And here I am 30 years later. And yes, I've been to 5 Super Bowls on, my players, that's kind of one of the perks of it, right? So Buffalo Bills, the greatest show on turf, the Pittsburgh Steelers, so saw the bus here, saw the infamous almost a touchdown for the Tennessee Titans to win. And then saw a kicker by the name of Adam Vinatieri kick after 2001 in New Orleans, and little known quarterback that no one thought he could make it, named Tom Brady.
Oh, I thought you meant Brian Hoyer.
No, he might have been
on the roster.
He was on the team a couple years later, but no. So I've been blessed. It's a great it's a great profession, but it's also the worst profession. And why
seems so cutthroat.
It is. So let me give you a few statistics and what you're talking about. So
these are all handsome men you represented, right?
I'll let you take that up with them.
Especially Tom Brady.
I did not represent.
By the way, Tom Brady gave up. Brian Hoyer is still competing, I believe, at a high level in the NFL.
So, the draft coverage is amazing. Back when I first started, you had Mel Kiper, you had a couple other guys, and, that was basically it. Now it's 3 days of coverage, nonstop coverage leading up to it. And the fact of the matter is, no one really knows who the hell is going to be taken other than the teams. And about 2-3 days before this year's draft, Chris Ballard was interviewed. The GM of the Colts was interviewed on Good Morning Football, and he basically said, I might be lying to you right now. Fact of the matter is, no one knows, no one should know, and anybody who's telling draft secrets from our team or the other 31 teams that are out there should be fired. And it's all just a bunch of BS because, frankly, the Lions, the Titans, the Texans, whoever they are, they have a blueprint of what they need and how they see those pieces fitting either on the field or in the locker room. And they live and die with their choices, and fans are still going to go. Has what's evidence of what we've seen in the city of Detroit since, 1957?
Yep,
yeah, I was not born prior to that, so I don't remember that. But
well, you look good if you were.
Thank you. But so that's the draft. And then
there were a lot of cute dolls going around in Detroit back then.
There probably were
23 Skidoo,
Betty Boop, and whatnot, right? So
I may have heard that.
Yeah. So roughly 6,000 players every year get scouted by NFL teams, and whether they're the first pick overall, the first day overall, or what you're referred to in the opening as an undrafted player, that's an undrafted free agent, or what we call them street free agents. And how it works every year, 8 to 10 scouts from each team scour the regions. They scout about 6,000 guys. They pare that down to about 350 guys that go to the combine, right? And they go to the combine mostly for medical or interviews. Of the 6,000, 250, because there's some supplemental picks in there, so 32 teams times 7 plus the supplemental, so somewhere between 250 and 260 get drafted. And then there's another 1,000 kids that come as what's called a street free agent. And those guys, might not have got drafted, might not have had the accolades, but you know what? They get into camp, they work their ass off, and somebody takes a liking to them, and boom, they're making a roster.
To me, that's one of the more fascinating parts about the NFL draft is the undrafted free agents. And just the second that draft is over, it's just a flood. And I expect eventually ESPN will expand their coverage and start covering the undrafted free agents. Is it just a mad rush the second Mr. Irrelevant's pick to sign him, or how does that work?
So I will say this: the NFL has done a masterful job of taking a pretty monotonous, boring event,
its own economy.
And I have to agree with, I don't know who said it. It might have been you.
It was probably Elric.
No, it definitely wasn't. It might have been Drew. They're method actors.
Oh yeah,
because
the
fans come in there.
It's a show.
It's a show, and that's what I mean. So they've taken a draft and they've turned it into an event. And I think the first time they had it, it was, I want to say, in Chicago, maybe Chicago had
when they first moved
it, because it used to just be at the Marriott Marquis in New York. You were in the ballroom, and you had the Jets fans, Giants fans, boo every pick, boo the commissioner. It was fantastic, right?
A lot of babes there.
A lot of babes, and no one watched it other than the agents, the players, that type of thing. So,
but once the draft
ends, though, Mark, behind the scenes, and it's probably going on truthfully beforehand, but legally it's not supposed to happen until that final pick gets in. And then, yes, you're right. There's a fury of activity, and people are calling, where's this guy going? And, sometimes you got to make that commitment right away with the team.
Yeah, because you don't
know. And they'll pull the offer, because if they're calling your guy, they're calling 12 other guys, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of research that goes in beforehand. Every NFL agent that's certified has access to all kinds of all kinds of contract info, contract language, contract numbers, the dollar and cents. So you kind of have to know going in that we've had activity from 2 or 3 teams. This is likely where you'll end up if you're a tight end, let's say. Mm-hmm. And then as the draft plays out and you see, okay, they drafted one tight end, they drafted a receiver that's a bigger guy that maybe they're going to use as a tight end. So then you kind of narrow those down. But then when that call comes, you better have done your preparation, talk to your client, and, got him a spot, because after there's only so many spots.
It's nuts.
Yeah. And so it's crazy. And, people think that Kevin Costner, that movie Draft Day was about the draft. Yeah. I like to go back to the 1980s classic Reality Bites, because that's really what it is, you're an NFL prospect. You've probably been the best kid since Little League, right? You've been the strongest, the fastest, the tallest, whatever it may be. And then as you've accelerated up the levels, well, again, 6,000 kids, right, that are draft eligible. Now, because of COVID, we have super seniors. Yeah. So super seniors add a little bit to that. Of course, the numbers kind of equal out because some of the kids aren't staying. But, now the street free agent, there's a lot more street free agents, because the draft spot's still in the 250 level. So it's fast and furious, as they say, but it's also a reality check for a lot of the parents, a lot of those kids.
The draft is humbling. I mean, just look at Jalen Carter, just look at Will Levis. I mean, it's
he might have had other issues, but
which one?
Yeah.
Both of them did.
But you got guys from Georgia who may have 2 national championship rings who are still free agents. So you can be on the best team and one of the best players and not get one of those spots. Now, everybody in sports knows Scott Boras, Drew Rosenhaus, and all these other guys. How do you connect with clients, and how do people say, you know what, nobody's calling me back at the top of this tower in New York. I need to be represented. I need somebody who's going to be effective and who's going to be trustworthy. How do they come up with the name Tom Tafelski?
It's a lot of hard work. So it's a lot.
I mean, you're better looking than those guys.
100%. Absolutely. But, you have a lot of friends over the years, right? And it started like anything. You're in class and you want to find out, where's that girl go to, where's she live, what bar she go to, or where's that guy live, where, you had to track them down the old-fashioned way.
So you can get your study group together.
That's right. And nowadays...
You go to Michigan.
I did go to Michigan. Nowadays, I knew that was going to come in too, right?
Well, the Michigan guys always mention that really early on.
Just for the record,
I went to Michigan.
Sparty brought it up.
Yeah, Sparty brought it up.
You came prepared, though, right? You knew what you were getting into.
Mention the class you're in.
I send my tuition dollars for my kids to state. I got a couple Sparties too. So
there you go, Mike.
Yeah, so it's fair.
There's no reason for
it's fair balance in my house. I also have a Chippewa, so we're spreading the...
I dare say it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, but to get back to your question, how do we do that? It's a lot now with the internet and the contacts I've made over 30 years. Obviously, it becomes easier, but still, you're paring down a list of 6,000 to 1,200. Those that'll be drafted or those that'll be street free agents. So, it's a lot of talking to the scouts that a lot of those relationships, a lot of watching guys on TV and saying, yeah, I think he can do this. But again, much like, the general, they're not going to come out and say, we're going to take this guy, we're going to take this guy. It's a lot of hard work. And that's why I say it's a great job, but it's also kind of a pain in the ass because the NIL portal has done some things great for the college athletes, but it's also allowed some agents to work around the back by, hey, let's cut a deal with them on an NIL that is basically meaningless, but then we start to build a relationship so that we can represent them. It's a tough business. I don't know today if I would get into it. Like I said, when I started in 92, pre-Jerry Maguire, there was about 600. It ballooned up to 1,600, and now we're at about 1,300 agents. The other thing it did was with all the monies that's out there, you had an agent that maybe had 25 people in New York, one in Dallas, one in, say, San Francisco. They started to kind of come together and form their collectives. I've done that with some partners in New York and Carolina and Detroit here. That's kind of the only way you survive is go into it. And then they have venture capitalist money because sports is a big business. I mean, look what the NFL did in Kansas City. You took 3 days that would be pretty sleepy days. You sold out hotel rooms. You sold out restaurants. You sold out. So sports is a huge business, as we know. And it's gotten harder and harder. And like I said, with the collectives and the training that goes in, some agencies will give a guy like, first round guy, they'll give him $100,000, a car, go train, go live at a place, whether it's Florida or Arizona. You got to know your market, and we know our market where we're at, and we've done it for 30 years, so we've been pretty successful. Real quick,
do the players call you, or do you call the players?
Usually you reach out to the players with educational material for educational purposes after the season.
Well, they are student athletes.
That's right.
They should always be learning.
Once their eligibility's up, you reach out to them and you send them some educational materials. Usually the parents want to get involved in that. And again, everybody thinks their child's the best that there is. And then you kind of have to have a reality talk with them and say, look, this is why, we're able to offer this. This is why we think he should train here. This is why we should do a few things. I mean, I had a guy I was recruiting this year. He was a local kid. He is on a team. But the second question I was asked from by the father was, have you done a $50 million deal? And I looked at him and I said, yeah, but for who? And I kind of laughed. I knew where he was going, but his son, he thought his son was literally getting a deal that was going to be a $50 million deal. That's a top 10 pick. It's not happening. And this kid was coming from a Division II, but he was buying into, he had a bigger company come in because somebody probably told him that, the agent, that this guy's worth it. They sent him training in Arizona, $25,000 cost there, plus some signing bonus. The kid was up about $50,000 to $75,000 in fees that he incurred. He was a street free agent. He's lucky if he got $15,000. Now
that's interesting. The agents put an investment in because naturally you hear NFL agent, it's like they're taking money, and what are they really doing? I mean, the big story in the NFL offseason is Lamar Jackson trying to become the highest paid player in NFL history without an agent. And it was interesting. There's a lot of arguments as to why he should have an agent, but then again, why should he give up 3% or maybe 2% of all these millions? Do you think that's going to be a way to go? Are people going to start foregoing agents?
I hope not. I mean, that would really suck. But
I think it's a dangerous game
Mark,
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what's the old adage about an attorney? The only one, a fool's the one that represents himself, doesn't get an attorney, because a lot of emotions go into it when you're negotiating with these teams.
You don't know the market either.
That's right. Because we have access to the stuff, and you got to. Take somebody to sit down and, I brought some stuff for you guys. We were looking through earlier, but you got to you got to crunch that data. I mean, it's really become an analytic science from the physicality standpoint, from the pick standpoint, but then also from the financial side. You know, you got to know where people are slotted in. Like the pick, you know, we had a draft pick last year at the 200th slot, let's say. He might have received $150,000 in signing bonus, okay, with a $700,000 base salary. This year, that same slot might have received a signing bonus of about the same or maybe slightly lower, depending on the analytics. But the base salary went up to $750 from $705. So, you know, the rookie minimum this year on a base salary as a street free agent is $750,000. Wow. Now, you know, you're going to say, wow, I mean, that's an incredible amount of money. But think about this. It's never guaranteed. Very few contracts are guaranteed. The Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's of the world, you know, okay, but
now Lamar.
Few and far. Yeah, yeah, now Lamar. But think about this. So you're making $750, and think about this point. Depending on where, you know, people say, well, the Lions are their headquarters are in Allen Park. Yeah, you know why that's so important? If I'm Lamar Jackson, or if I'm one of these guys that's signing a signing bonus, and I sign in the city of Detroit, what I owe the city of Detroit?
2 3/4% of your income.
There you go. Speaking from somebody who works down there, right?
Pays 2 3/4.
Yes. Now, if I sign that signing bonus in Allen Park, I don't know.
You don't know that.
I don't. Now, my game checks I do, though. Yeah. So that's the other thing.
Actually, it's 1.5% if you're a non-resident.
1.5% if you're not.
A little less than 1.5%.
But think about that. You know, a good agent's going to look and say, okay, where are the teams headquartered? Mm-hmm. You know, what's the city tax in that city? Okay, so all things being equal, you know, and I'll throw out there Miami, or which is actually outside of Miami, or Detroit. You know, all things being equal. All right, if Miami, we got to pay an extra city tax, and we don't in Detroit, who cares? Yeah. Go take the extra tax. Money. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. These athletes, these high-profiled athletes, have to file city tax returns, and sometimes state, in every single place they play. Now, if you have a high-profile attorney or a doctor that goes in for a surgery, or a salesperson, or to my knowledge, I don't think that happens. But NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, I mean, why? Because they're high profile.
Yeah, know they were there.
It's really interesting now seeing these players, and like William Morris, which is now William Morris Endeavor. It's just this massive, massive agency. And they're really getting into the sports side because, look, they have this whole entertainment arm too. Are there people, even in the lower parts of the draft, or even these street free agents, that are like, I want to sign with somebody who can get me into a movie or become an influencer?
Well,
I'm a rapper.
Yeah, Mark.
I play guitar.
That is. You're seeing, because it's become so competitive.
With that?
We just do. I mean, you know, I've done it for 30 years. We just do. I mean, because I can call somebody in a front office with 32 or 32 teams, right? And that's really what helps you get the information. I mean, well,
do you tell them too? Hey, if you're at William Morris Endeavor, you're gonna be lost in the shuffle.
You're lost in the. You're a cog in the wheel. I mean, you know, information is the most valuable commodity there is. So if you know a little information behind the scenes, you can kind of prepare for stuff. So it's like I said, it's a great business. It's become so competitive. College with the NIL deals. I mean, you know, going to Michigan, I'd see, you know, Tyrone Wheatley, who, by the way, anybody know where Wheatley is?
He's Wayne State.
There you go. Look, sleeping giant. He's going to awake that sleeping giant. So
I'm mad that he left.
I think Mick McCabe named him the most talented high school athlete in Michigan history. Is that right, Shawn?
The Swami would know. Right?
I don't know. He's the Swami. I'm not.
Yeah.
He's a son of Swami. So we're looking forward to Shawn participating in this show. This is a sports topic, so he's not that well informed. But Tom, when these guys, when you contact them, if they're a lower round draft pick or they weren't drafted, you know, are they heartbroken? Are they grateful that they have somebody who's willing to go to bat for them because they're just like, well, you know, I don't know how to navigate this myself? Or are they angry? I mean, what's the emotion like when all the dust is settled and they're still saying, wait a minute, I thought I was the best thing since bottled water?
Yeah, you run the gamut, right? Because the emotion is, as an athlete, you want to compete. You're the best of the best. You always have been.
Your career could be over. All these years, it's done.
That's it. And that's the one thing about football, unlike hockey, which you play not very well, but you do because I've seen you on the ice. I play.
I look good doing it.
basketball, golf, tennis. The only thing you can't play when you get older is football. At some point, the pads come off, and for most kids, it's high school. You know, there's 971,000 to 1 million kids play high school football. There's about 60,000 that go on to college ball at some level, NAIA, Division 3, 2, 1, you know, Power 5, Group of 5 kind of thing like that. So at some point, and for those kids, there's some kids, it's draft day or the days, subsequent days after, yeah, your career just ended. What do you do? Well, the one thing you do is you use that college degree that you went to for 4 years. But then there's other leagues, you know.
USFL.
The USFL, the XFL. I mean, you know.
Europe teams, yeah.
The Europe teams, so you got to be real careful doing that with the different. Well, think about it. Okay, you go over and you get a neck injury like Mike Utley did. You think some European team's going to pay for your care? You think some arena team's going to pay for your care? You think, you know what I mean? So I had a couple guys. An arena used to be a pretty good. At one point, I had the highest paid player in the arena league.
Novo Bojovic?
No. But
Kurt Warner.
But I'll tell you a story about him off camera. But I did have a couple Iowa Barnstormers. But
I'm writing that.
Yeah, you're writing that down.
You can't say that on camera?
No, we'll leave that for.
Can't clean it up?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not that bad. It's just yeah.
Okay.
We'll save that for afterwards.
Okay.
He told a woman that she was attractive.
No, that was not it.
Oh.
Dateline Tijuana.
I like that you've
But
channeled
anyway,
that.
let me.
It's
you
very
know,
El Rickian.
Hey, Mark, I listen.
handsome man.
People make fun of the non-group of 5 talent, right? The non-NFL leagues.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to remember that those kids are busting their ass, putting forth every bit of effort that a guy that goes to Alabama or plays for Pittsburgh Steelers is. And at some point, they want to get to that. They're not any less athletic.
It drives me nuts. There's a perception of college football players that they're all thugs or they're just there to play football. It's like, no, there's a lot of people on a team. There's a lot of guys there that are trying to, get a degree and they like playing football. And I've always hated that they all get painted the same. Now the high profile guys, sure, whatever. Of course they're there because they know they're going to go to the NFL.
Right.
What do you make of what is going on in college with NIL and because you were explaining there's a difference between NIL and collectives, yeah.
So the collective is, kind of more run by a nonprofit affiliated with the university,
Which is horseshit. That is horseshit.
You mean you shouldn't get the tax write-off to?
Well, first off, I think it's horseshit that these athletic departments are nonprofits in general, so they have to spend the money. But it's just a way for these schools to not have to pay the players, so they have these collectives,
right? And then you have the NIL, name, image, likeness. So I get sponsored by the Drew and Mike podcast, the Red Shovel Network, or Soul of Detroit. By the way, I have a player if you guys are looking for one. Yeah,
if we had money,
but that's
we have to have money though.
No one has money. And speaking of nonprofits, right?
Yeah, there you go.
We're an unprofit.
Yeah. But college. I mean, there's no reason. We'll go back to the days of the Fab Five or Elvis Gerbeck or Tyrone Wheatley at Michigan, or pick Kirk Gibson for your Spartan fans way back, right? He's got number 23. Everybody knows it's Kirk Gibson, right? Yeah. Why are they not paying? Everybody knows a Tyrone Wheatley jersey was $6. Yeah, Gerbeck, why aren't they paying those kids something? So, when that lawsuit went through and the ruling came down, I'm glad those kids are getting kind of what they deserve, but they still get scholarships. Okay.
Sure.
Not everyone gets a scholarship, though. That's the other thing. You got a lot of walk-ons. You got a lot of kids that play for the love of the game.
They get cost of attendance too. Most of them, right? COAs.
Yeah. So
are a pittance. But.
Yeah. But you got to look at. They're playing for the love of the game, and now they can maybe make a little bit of money off the number 6 jersey. Good for them. The problem, I think, that wasn't really thought out was it exposed college sports for what it is. A business, yeah. Right? But the kids still aren't, they're still not in charge. I mean, if you look at your SEC, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have a quote unquote salary cap, 10 to 15 million. Okay.
Wait, what do you mean? Who is imposing a cap?
Well, no, that's what they're going to pay their players through their collectives or their NILs. I call it a cap because you got to have something there, right? So, but that's going to be their pool of money that they're going to pull from. because they're getting TV revenues. They got, alumni that want to be part of the team. They want, and they're giving it to, in some cases, high school kids who now all of a sudden are going to get a check for $500,000 that they've never filed a tax return in their life. They got to figure out how to do that. They're, we talk about the development of the human mind. When's
Johnny
it develop?
football.
Yeah, 25
Too much
years
too
old.
soon.
Too much too soon.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they made a bunch of money in college, and then they don't make it in the NFL, and then they got to go out and get a real job, making $50,000 a year. You rose real fast, and your star fell even faster. I'd like to
a
see
child actor or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get it and maybe put it in some type of trust account or something for the future.
Could they force him? Could they force him to do that?
I don't. That's
Probably
a
not,
legal
right?
question.
probably
I think
not.
once you're 18, there's not much you can make somebody do.
It's just I think it's, again, I hope that then escalates to higher caps in the NFL, higher this, higher that. It's all good for the players, right? And that's what we're here to do, is represent the players. People say, well, the players make too much. Well, here's my question to you, okay? Has anybody ever give a shit about the fan? Are they going to institute an owner's cap? In other words, you can't charge X number of dollars more on a seat, on parking, on a hot dog, on a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi-Cola.
I'd vote for that.
Yeah, well, but that's the argument to the players make too much money. Well, don't forget about the owners. Now, I get that they have the
Are you talking
investment.
with, talking with pro sports?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, with
There's a salary cap. I mean, the players can make a hell, except for Major League Baseball.
But what I'm saying is there's not an owner's cap.
No,
Right?
I know.
So
It's
at the end of the
ludicrous.
day, who really gets it? The fans get it.
Yeah,
right?
that's why they want a salary cap, and then they try and find every way they can to circumvent the salary cap.
Anybody who thinks that LeBron James has paid his value for the Lakers at his salary is insane.
Probably
he's,
not.
He's worth way more than that.
Yeah, and speaking of the salary cap, there's ways that teams are kind of working around it. Paragraph 5, which is referred to P5, that's kind of what the salary is. Now teams are guaranteeing a portion of that. So whether you make it or make a team or not, instead of a signing bonus. So if I give you $100,000 in a signing bonus, or guarantee $100,000 on your P5, well, guess what? That doesn't count against the cap. So there's ways
I got to say, I find it all fascinating. It's really ruined a lot of sports arguments. Like when you see trades, the first thing my mind goes to is, well, how does this affect the cap now? And it's kind of ruined that aspect of sports, but it's almost a necessary evil.
Do you really think that people care as much about or fans care as much about what players are making these days?
Yes.
Steph Curry makes $50 million a year, more or less, right? Is that how much he's worth?
No,
Like
he's
Golden
worth-
State Warriors?
he's worth way more.
Unless I'm his agent and he's paying me, I don't give a shit what they make.
Right? No, but right. I mean,
I
think fans are more sophisticated a little bit now and understand that even at $50 million, it sounds like a huge number for somebody like that, or for any of these stars, that they're worth a lot more than that.
You know what I think fans care about?
I think it's a shame that
seeing
people
a good
try and
product.
measure their worth by money, Sean.
What was that?
I think it's a shame that we're trying to measure people's worth with dollar signs and not with who they are and
how
what's
they
in their
look.
heart
Yeah, no,
and
that sounds,
and what they have to offer.
That sounds, that's a
Is
good
that
point.
window washer not worth $50 million to somebody?
That sounds super sincere.
Is that caregiver not worth $1 billion to that person who has that bed sore that's just been lanced? I say yes, sir. I say yes.
Tom, you see-
cannot put a salary cap on humanity, Sean Windsor.
This is what happens if I start talking a little bit, Mark's talking, you're talking.
Yes, it's a yell.
He wants to hear his voice.
He feels left out.
Well, not even. I know it's more narcissistic than that. He just wants to hear his voice.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Who? All right.
So, Mark, but to
Love
answer
is
your question,
priceless.
I think fans care
I
about
just
a
want that
product.
to be known. I learned that in church.
On Sunday, I went down to see the USFL, Michigan Panthers.
Did you? Yeah.
I mean, there was probably 15, 20,000 having a great time, great family atmosphere. You can't get that at an NFL game because the ticket prices are unaffordable for the most part.
What do you mean family atmosphere? Nobody was cussing?
No, well,
No fist fighting?
No, did not see fist fights.
Did you used to go to games at the Silverdome?
Oh, it's the best.
Oh my goodness!
I love
Yes, yeah. Hey, a quick story. So one of the games.
I take no joy in savagery, any conflict among men, any harm perpetrate upon another man, to me, is untenable, Sean.
Sorry, Tom. Go ahead. Sorry for that interruption.
Could you return us to the days of the gladiator, Sean Windsor?
Here, you want to hear a gladiator story? I got one for you.
No,
First
Michael, let you tell it. Yeah.
First, I want to know, are you representing guys in the XFL and the USFL?
No, we don't have any because
Yeah, great question. Can you answer? Can you get to your story, please?
Do they have reps?
They would. Yeah, because
Okay.
if you were in the NFL or you were looking to get in the NFL, you couldn't get in the next level. Now,
But aren't they all
those
paid the same?
salaries? I was
Yeah,
just going to
they're
say
set,
those
yeah.
salaries are set. So really, that's a futures deal we look at. Potential there to make there. So
Okay, back
go
to your story, though. It's a
Silverdome.
podcast,
That's
so we
right.
want to be
Yes.
interesting, yeah.
Go back to Silverdome. So we
Sean Windsor, blood sport fiend.
I had a.
I'm gonna kill his mic.
I had a, he kills Mike. There, you can pot him down. Right? He can hear himself, but no one else can. Had a client with the Buffalo Bill, Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo had a Monday night game. I believe it was for the first time in like 13 or 14 years against the Dallas Cowboys. So Buffalo's
Some nice
close.
looking cheerleaders in Dallas.
Well, absolutely. That's what they're known for down there.
Fine
They're
people.
playing better than the team. But my buddy and I drove across to the game in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
They opened up the lots to drink at like 10:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time the 9 o'clock game was, because the Monday night games were 9 o'clock back then, right? Kickoff East Coast, 9 o'clock.
Yep.
People were just hammered. So we're sitting up in the third level where the visiting teams, they usually give them the great seats up in the third level. Although I say Pittsburgh usually helps the visiting teams and gives them nice spots, but Buffalo and Ralph Wilson Stadium did not. So we're up in the third tier. And about the fourth quarter of the game, the Bills have been kicking Dallas's ass. All of a sudden, the greatest comeback in Monday night history, Dallas comes from behind. And now the the Bills fans are starting to get a little mouthy, feeling no pain. And we start noticing, my buddy and I start noticing all these fluorescent vests. And they just start going like beehives. Security, police officer. There were more fights that I think we counted 16. And we were by Flozell Adams' family.
Oh, God.
And somebody started to rip into somebody. And Flozell's brother stood up and basically looked at the guy. He didn't go after him because the guy, once he stood up, the guy backed down.
Yeah, do they
But
call him
you
the
wanna
motel?
Sean, you want to talk about fights? That Silverdome has nothing over Ralph Wilson Stadium on a Monday night game.
That's actually a great stadium, by the way, Ralph. I love it. The press box is low. It's great.
It's this job. One of the things, why'd I get into it? Just kind of the fun of it. And I've been to, 27 NFL stadiums. I've seen Super Bowls. I've seen games. And my children, I got 3 boys. So they've been to 22 different camps and or stadiums. And, how many fourth graders get to hang out with the Minnesota Vikings and see Toby Gerhardt, who was his idol on TV, and that other running back, Adrian Peterson. So it's been a great career, and hopefully I got a lot more to go, and it's fun.
Do you ever have run-ins with other agents, like say Drew Rosenhaus or Master P?
Master P, yeah. So
what a joke of an agent Master P was.
No comment. So
okay. What a great agent Master P was.
No comment.
Great dental plan for his clients.
Yes, but no. So we every year we have a seminar in Indianapolis where we are all that or the Sports Lawyers Association, and usually we go down there and you kind of see everybody and. Who you think they are, they are. I mean, that's the shark that doesn't swim, or the shark that was his book. But I shouldn't even plug it, right? But no, I mean,
you all go to St. Elmo's and get the shrimp cocktail.
And that's about. If you want a good steak, go to Prime 47. It used to be called Moe's. It's in an old bank, but the shrimp cocktail by far is at St. Elmo's, or they own the place.
Harry and Izzy's,
or Harry and Izzy's,
or go get the Reuben at Shapiro's Deli.
Are we in Indy? no one knows these places.
The sad
These
part.
are iconic places down there.
The Wolverines are finally getting to Indy, so they should get these tips. I wish the Spartans could get there before all the restaurants
And
close.
by the way, next time you go to Buffalo, get a beef on weck.
Beef on whack, okay. I'll look at that. I like the wings. I'm partial to the wings, but or just the cold beer.
Don't shake your head, Mark.
But
So, Tom-
we do
You and
we do
food.
run into guys, but to be honest with you, Mark, it's competition, right?
Yeah,
I
that's-
mean,
yeah.
you know, how you doing, whatever. Unless you're part of a conglomerate like I am. So I was solo at it for 25 years. In the last 4 or 5 years, I just joined with some guys, just because we have to compete. And again, knowledge is power, and the more phone calls
Yeah,
you can
oh
make
God, yeah.
on draft day, if it's one guy calling or 6 guys calling, it helps. So
Tom, before we let you go, tell us one of your favorite stories about somebody you represented where, they may have been thinking it's over, and you helped them make the cut and live their dream.
guy by the name of Nate Washington, wide receiver out of Tiffin University, D2. From Toledo Scott High School, recruited Nate from Tiffin, was talking to him, and he wasn't answering his cell phone, or that day, I think it was his landline.
Real quickly, tell listeners why you recruited him. You saw him at games. So you're betting on your talent evaluation to some degree too, right?
Yes, and I'm betting on the people in the area that I know that are the ones that are maybe making lists and whatnot are like, yeah, hey, this guy's a pretty good guy. But in that particular case, I knew a former coach of his.
Okay.
So, and he said, look, this guy's going to play one day, and I'm like, really? And he wasn't
Tiffin?
wrong.
Come on.
Tiffin, the Mighty Dragons, baby.
So you
Mighty
put your trust in that coach.
So-
Why was
yeah,
he?
so
Why
you
was
put
he
the-
at Tiffin then? Right? I mean, isn't
Well,
that's what people say.
why was he at Tiffin? Because maybe he bloomed later, and that's what people don't understand when they're
Happens
doing
all
all
the
this
time.
all this draft analysis BS, right? Oh, if he's coming out of Alabama, he's going to be,
Why was Steph Curry at Davidson?
right? Yeah. Did he bloom later? Did he just not get overlooked? Did he not get played in high school, so he didn't get the big stats? Who makes the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star high school list? What the hell's he know about anything? What's he know about the level of competition in the KLAA West or East versus the parochial league or the PSL?
I often ask myself that question.
Mike, you're very intuitive.
You spotted him down.
Very astute. So, so Nate, I drove
hard on the eyes.
down to Tiffin. Tiffin's a small little sleepy town. If you've never been there, you're not missing much.
Yeah.
But I do think they had American Standard, the toilet and faucet company.
My son played college basketball. Had a game there.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not a hell of a lot. So I stopped at Nate's. I go, Nate, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do it. And I basically took him out. We went and had a sandwich and kind of talked him into doing it. Fast forward a month later, the NFL, he doesn't get invited to the combine, small school guy. So we have his workout, his lifting, his broad jump, and those measurables are in basically an old meat locker by the railroad tracks in Tiffin. This is no BS. This is where it was. It used to be. It's very similar to where it is now. But his workout facility, his 40-yard dash and all that was at the YMCA downtown Tiffin. 14 teams were there. We went from Tiffin, first time it ever happened. We drive over to the YMCA. They set up the 40, and it's like 60 yards. So his 40, he's got to pull up like at 42 because you want to run through the 40. He runs, draft day comes. I got Carolina, I got Buffalo, my buddy Tom Roth, who's up there as a scout calling, and I got Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh says Doug Whaley was the scout who's now with the XFL. And Doug Whaley's like, we want him. We had done our homework. We looked at, the percentage of free agents that Pittsburgh's kept over the years versus Carolina or Detroit or whatnot. So we knew there was the odds were in his favor if he went to Pittsburgh. He went there and blew it out, and 2 Super Bowls later and millions of dollars later, he had a nice 10, 12 year in the NFL.
And as Shawn will tell you, he could get a Primani sandwich while he's there.
Only if you get the fries mashed on top.
Of course, that's what makes it a Primani Brothers sandwich.
As an
It goes
agent,
without
though,
saying. I thought you'd know that as an agent.
When you're
With
talking
your
about
beef
these,
on weck and your Izzy's and Scratchies.
I think he's just jealous he hasn't got down there. Is that what it is?
He's jealous he doesn't have any taste buds.
when you're looking at Pittsburgh and say Buffalo and Detroit, and you're looking at these, you got to believe I don't want to say culture because that word's so overused, but just how the organization is set up. It's like you want to stay away from that team. Does that really exist, or is that a fan's mentality?
I think it's more of a fan's mentality.
Really? Okay.
Because here's the thing: if it's a good fit for your client, what's it about? At the end of the day, it's about your client making that roster, getting that paycheck, getting the opportunity to fulfill his dream. So,
but some NFL teams are run way better than other NFL teams.
No question. But still, if that team's not calling you, I mean, that's the other flip side to it, right? That team has to want you.
Yeah.
If you only have one or two teams, even if their quote unquote culture is not the makeup that you believe, but your client can make that roster, that gives them an opportunity to play 2, 3, 4 years, become a undrafted or a unrestricted free agent, and then maybe go to a team that has a better culture. Again, it's about making that roster. I always tell guys, look, if you don't get drafted in April, okay, I don't care. What I care about is September. Yeah. Are you on the 53-man roster? Are you on the practice squad? Because even practice squad now, practice squad pays about $225,000. And people, we throw these numbers out there, but think about that. The $225 and the $750 for a base salary year one guy that's on the 53, you're paying almost 50% in taxes. You have to relocate. You have to do all that stuff. It's not, I'm not crying for him, but it's not a lot of money when you think about it.
There was always this perception, like, who would want to go play in Detroit? It's that front office. I mean, this is pre-home.
Right,
the front office is terrible. And I was like, well, I mean, from what they do and how hard they work, I would think almost every city is kind of the same because you're going to a facility. Is that,
you're going to one of 32 teams. I mean, you're going to one of 32 employers. There's only 32 employers, and everybody wants to be there.
Is each franchise that different from the other?
Well, so go back to what we kind of talked about, where franchises are located.
Yeah.
So for tax purposes, maybe, or they got brownfield money so they could build a bigger, better, right?
Yeah.
But also think about this. They want to recruit that free agent, right? So if you walk through my facility and it's a meat locker as the weight room, which the New Orleans Saints used to be on Airport Road. They were old storage facility. It was one of the, but you know what? They paid the same as the Rams did at the time, right? Which had a brand new facility because they were in St. Louis and they didn't want to lose. St. Louis didn't want to lose them. Fast forward 30 years, I guess didn't work out so well. But every facility is also kind of like college. You're competing. You're trying to make sure your facilities are top notch. You're trying to get the free agents as they walk through the door, trying to get the coaches, trying to get the front office staff. You want to have the best, and so they're going to build. The owners are.
Yeah, I know. Didn't they do like a big survey with the players?
Yes.
I think there were rats in Kansas City. I'm like, yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Who cares?
Before you go though, Tom, you've been doing this for 30 years. Can you speak to the Lions' current front office and what you think of them, and just
he loves all front offices.
Yeah,
what you hear though. I mean, just the changes,
the perception,
the perception.
The perception. I mean, well, if you talk to some fans, they're like, we should have drafted this guy or that guy, right? I mean, but again, I truly think, like, Brad Holmes was a scout for the Rams. He was a regional guy in the area, right? He worked his way up, and he has a blueprint. He has an idea how they want to run, along with Coach Campbell. They know what they want to do. They know the pieces of the puzzle that they need to put in. And again, these teams spend, $6 to $8 million a year scouting, right? So no one knows better than the teams. Now, are they off? Yeah, of course. But I mean, Mel Kiper he's the expert, right? He got one right. So, that I think they're on the right track. We'll see. Time will tell, obviously. That's kind of what everybody says. But, they seem to be heading in the right direction. Their trajectory, people might not like their moves, but again, they have a plan and they have, a direction that they want to go. And I think as long as they follow it and stick to it, they'll live and die with it. But I think they'll be okay in the long run.
You're still here, ML? You haven't talked in like 10 minutes.
I was.
Are you sad?
Taking some time for quiet reflection.
See what you did, Shawn.
Now, Mike knows we have a Tiger game that the both of us are going to freeze at tonight.
I look deep into my soul, and I still can't believe Shawn is putting monetary value on people like they're chattel.
So he's been waiting.
People, Shawn, they're very nice-looking people.
You've been waiting 15 minutes to say that?
Well, you waited 15 minutes. It wasn't no great shakes when you
really
broke out.
wait. I didn't really wait. I just was enjoying listening to Tom.
I got to tell you,
Tom's got a nice voice, if I may say that.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's such a fascinating world.
I'll tell you what, and it's ever changing, right? I mean, we every day we get the waiver wire that comes down from the league through the Players Association, and you can see where guys are, where they're headed, or they cut this guy, cap reason, what. It's amazing. Or, oh my God, they picked that guy up. But again, the team that picked him up, staying true to the conviction. I'm not the one that put my name on the line to bring.
Well, I don't just mean talent evaluation. The way they ran things, the way they interacted with people, the way they were in the previous regime, especially. It was.
I got to tell you, the guys that I've always
not great.
Yeah, the guys that I've always interacted with in Detroit have been nothing but first class to me. Now, maybe that's because I'm in their city and they know I'm not going away, and they might be, but they've always been top-notch first class. Pittsburgh's always been top. Buffalo. I had a guy by the name of Mike Lombardi. He was with the Browns, and one of my first clients that were there, we had him traded or picked up by the New Orleans Saints, and he called me 30 years ago and said, "You'll never make another fucking day in this league." Click. Well, hey, Mike, I'm still here.
Wow.
How'd you piss him off?
Because we offensive linemen, we moved down to Toledo. They had on the practice squad, and we just didn't see. That was the year Steve Everett was drafted from Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
So, and kudos to Everett, because I knew him through school. I didn't represent him, but he was number one. He knew he was number one. He were drafted, first round. He would pull my guy in and give him some reps with the first teamer for Everett to take a blow or just, let him go. And they were keeping my guy in the practice squad, and what happened was the Saints needed somebody because they had an injury, and it was week 6 of the season. And I knew if he went down to New Orleans that he would get at least 3 game checks and then get a credited season because they'd keep him on for the rest. And it worked out well. He ended up playing and winning a Super Bowl for the St. Louis Rams, and he lost the Super Bowl for the St. Louis Rams. Finished his career in Detroit. Guy by the name of Andy McCullum was a hell of a interior 3 center guard, part of the greatest show on turf. But
Have
started
you
in
talked
Cleveland.
to Michael Lombardi since?
No, I don't think I don't think we'd be pen pals or talk. I mean, guys say it in anger, right?
All the
I mean,
time.
vice versa. I may say something, but I got to kind of keep my cool because why? They're one of 32 employers. I'd like to tell them what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to be like Shawn and Mike, tell them what I think with each other. But
Shawn's only got 2 employers. He's completely disrespectful. I wish you would take a page out of Tom's book, Mr. Windsor.
So now,
My goodness.
he's my employer.
This is outrageous.
That's funny.
Yeah, in
He
fact,
does send the checks.
I just did send you payment for March and April. I kind of was behind. That's what I was working on.
You don't need
I
to
did
do
have
that.
to discount it.
I come over here for the friendship and the camaraderie, for the fellowship.
so full of
honestly,
shit.
I didn't.
That's good
I
because we
didn't-
have a merit-based pay system. And
Full of shit, my ass.
Not be very
I
lucrative.
started this
Whoa.
podcast. There was no money. I just came to do it.
I didn't realize he used the coin rolls to pay people.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah.
but I
nice.
firsthand I see that. So
it's tough to get those Canadian pennies, too, believe me.
But look,
Especially with COVID.
Look, he likes to think of himself as a boss just for the planet, so it's all good.
There's all kinds of bosses.
You know
Capital
what?
B,
You know
small
what we
b's.
tell people in this business? Credit's free. Give them
Oh.
credit. Credit's free.
I thought you were going to say shut the fuck up, but no.
I'd like to say that, but no, credit's free. We go ahead.
So Tom, you're talking about guys who kind of fell through the cracks, or for whatever reason didn't get drafted, or were drafted in a very low round. But you've mentioned several people who have played for multiple teams, who've made it to Super Bowls. What is it that they have that somebody missed?
So that's
Because there's lots of first round. Charles
You're right.
Rogers,
You're right.
number
Yeah.
1 pick, gone.
I guarantee you there'll be some in this year's draft too.
Jamar Russell, purple drank,
Jamarcus, yeah.
Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell, yeah, but he could throw off his knees.
Yeah.
60 yards.
Yeah.
So, what I tell you is a lot of teams what they should do really spend more time on is character, background. How's the kid going to fit in the locker room? How are they going to do, as an adult in a city, not being kind of catered to by handlers in the university? They probably should spend more time on that. And then heart. You can't measure a kid's heart. You can't measure that, that inner will of somebody that says, I'm going to make it at all costs, and some guys get the check and they're like, yeah, okay, I don't have to play anymore. You know, there's a difference between playing the game and loving the game. And then those that will do anything they possibly can to get a shot. And, you know, that's what you can't measure.
Okay, well, if you're one of those guys, call Tom Tafelski. Sounds like he can make a pretty good case for you with everybody not named Lombardi. And what have guys named Lombardi ever done in the NFL?
Yeah, well,
Nothing.
Oh, wait a minute.
outside of the first one.
Yeah. Well, we had Joe Lombardi, right? Wasn't that the
Yeah,
grand?
that was a
Yeah,
massive
he didn't do
failure.
much either. So,
Massive failure.
well, Tom, thanks for coming in. And are you done now with this round, or you still have deals you're trying to make?
You know, we have a couple guys that are on place that I think are pretty good guys. Every day, and this is what I tell them, every day it's, you know, the door is getting closer to closing. But, you know, depending on the position, there's always injuries in training camp. There's always guys that, you know, maybe get recycled or get a second look or a third look. So, yeah. And then you're looking to Canada too, right? Guys want to keep playing. Maybe we go up to Canada. XFL's winding down. USFL's beginning, middle of their season. So, and that'd be difficult to kind of latch on right now. You'd really have to know somebody who says, yeah, we want your guy. So we're winding down for this year, but we're cranking up for next year because you're getting the juniors that are going to be seniors. Some of those seniors that are super seniors because of COVID. So we're kind of formulating those lists to figure out where we target and who we go after and how we can keep doing the business here.
Never
we love
stops.
it. Never stops.
And you
Never
don't care what
stops.
they look like.
I don't care what they look like.
That's good. I don't either, for the record.
I want them to be good people, run fast.
2 nickels, a dime, don't matter to me. It's all 10 cents.
And
And,
all
we're
10
all
cents.
people inside. Inside, we're all beautiful.
Right, Sean?
He's the
Yes.
master of bringing it back around, isn't he?
He's the master of everything. He's great.
They call me the $50 million man, but I
He's
think
a-
that undervalues me.
he's a
Seriously
benevolent-
undervalues me.
You probably need an agent.
He's a benevolent boss.
And what
Sean
is the
needs an
standard
agent.
rate?
There you
Is
go.
it,
No, I don't need an agent.
Is it 3%, 2%?
you know,
Do you have a
you know,
I
sliding
don't have
scale?
anything. I don't have anything worth representing. Mike's a benevolent boss, right, Mark?
He's fine. What? No,
know,
ML
so
had a good question there. I want to hear the answer.
Yeah. So here's what I tell. Here's what I tell everybody.
Credits free?
Blind squirrel finds a nut. once in
Okay.
a while, yeah. Here's what I tell people, because people always say, "Hey, what's your guy make on the offensive line? What's your guy, your receiver, your tight end?" I don't walk up to a nurse in the hospital and go, "Hey, what are you making as an hourly rate?" I mean, we tend to forget these people are entertainers. But it's also their livelihood. Yeah. I mean, we don't walk around just saying, "Hey,
we
what
want
do
to
you
know
make?"
what your cut is.
Oh, I know what you want to know. So, but that's another podcast. You'll have to tune in later.
Proprietary information.
Yeah,
so there's
well-
not a standard. There's not a flat fee.
you always
There
right?
is,
Yeah.
but it's also
negotiable.
Yeah, I mean, everything's a negotiating.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
a
I'm
check.
sure you would take 0.5% to represent Lamar.
I don't know. There's a lot of headache. I got 3 boys. I don't need babysitters.
0.5% of the largest NFL contract ever.
Well, you know,
Peace of mind's worth something,
okay,
baby.
all right.
I got to
So
ask
you
Tom
don't
one
need
more
it.
question.
I would do it.
This is the old reporter thing. There's a last question, then there's one more question. Have you ever had any of these guys who caught on and people really understood that, we missed this guy? Have you ever had anybody say, "You know what, Tom, you've been a great guy for me, but I got to go with..."
Oh yeah, we get. Yeah, I've been 30 years, but I've also had.
What's that like? Yeah, you're like, "You son of a bitch, you were on the gutter and I pulled you up and you're nothing without me." And
I mean, when you get terminated from a job, you kind of, you say your piece and you move on.
Find someone better.
Yeah, find somebody better. And vice versa. Then you get people who call you and say, "Hey, I didn't like this guy because of the color of his shoes, what he had on," and move forward. I mean, you just move forward. But yeah, for anybody to say that they haven't been fired and they're in this business, they're lying.
But I mean, what do you think they're thinking? Do they think that, I'm too big for this guy
so
now?
Rule
or-
number 1 is it's always the agent's fault.
Okay.
Because again, go back to you were in 3rd grade and you were the best kid on the league. You've always heard from at every level, from the parent, from a coach, from this and that. So what's the new thing that has been introduced? It's been an agent, right?
Yeah.
So whose fault is it? Well, it isn't me because I've been doing everything on the way. So yeah.
It just seems shitty to have somebody who really got you where you are and then figure, no.
But at the same time, did I really get them where it was their talent, but their talent level couldn't take it couldn't take him to the next level, the professional level. We made all the calls. We got all the introductions. We got him eyeballs to come look at him. We got him tryouts.
Well, I don't mean somebody who didn't get signed. I mean, did you have somebody who
yes,
started a career and they said, "Oh, I can do better," you know?
Sure.
That seems pretty shitty to me, frankly.
Well, but you know, you have other agents out there. That's why when Mark asked the question, do you know this guy? Do you know? Yeah, of course I know who they are. They know why. But we're not buddies because at the end of the day, they're still trying to get the dollars that are going in my pocket from my client. And you might think you have that great reputation or great relationship with them, but you don't. I mean, you're not living with them. You're not in their home city. You really don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough business,
I
man.
like to recruit clients as people first because I think if you do the right character thing, that tends to carry over how they'll do business, get to know the families, you know, and that's kind of how I like to do
who wants to rep someone like Antonio Brown? I mean, you're just asking for headache after headache after headache.
Fire up chips, baby. That's
oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I guess
maybe he did rep him. I don't know.
We should ask you whether you fired any clients, but that might also be.
He was just the first headache I could think of.
Yes, I'm sure.
But it's really interesting that Jalen Carter. I noticed when he got drafted, Drew Rosenhaus was right next to him.
Shadow, baby.
That was really telling. Like, okay, that's what most of the NFL is. It's not about necessarily the car crash. There's a lot more behind that and behind the drag racing and showing up overweight. And then meanwhile, you have on day 2, Will Levis, who was there all day 1. Day 2, he's like, I'm not going back. But the Lions drafted the one guy,
Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama.
That is so telling that he's like, no, I want the experience. I'm going to.
He stayed and stuck and swallowed his pride. And
to be honest with you, I think that's
great.
I mean, the green room. It's do you remember who was the first one? Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, he sat there, and okay, yeah, they're all going to get paid, and they're all going to get their shining star in your moment.
Ego,
but
yeah.
No, back to that interview with Chris Ballard and every GM and Scott. No one knows who the hell they're taking. Now they got an idea, but no one knows who the hell they're going to take. Not even the league offices. So to invite those kids and to go through it, I mean, if you want to have them in a room off to the side, but the camera not in front of them, every friggin' pick that goes by. At 10 minutes a pick times the 32 picks that they can string it out for 6 hours because of, commercial after commercial. Yeah. It's just not fair to those kids. But it's the ego and it's.
Yeah, I would not want to go. First off, you're going to Kansas City. I mean,
but next year it's here.
They're coming to Detroit.
They're coming to Detroit. Mark, they're coming to Detroit next year. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a boost for the economy for 3 days in April that. We'd never get that money.
The NFL is an amazing monster.
It's an amazing monster.
It's a movable feast. And if you want to get your picture taken in front of the draft clock, there is a huge thing at Campus Martius. It's got to be about 10 feet tall. It looks like a gear. You can stand in the middle of it, and they're doing the countdown to the draft coming to Detroit, which it will do next year.
Are you going to offer yourself so folks can take free photos with you?
I don't like to objectify people, particularly myself. I think that if they feel that they would like to have a picture,
well, normally
together,
you charge, so I just thought on account of the draft, you'd want to.
But this is the way I think of it, Shawn. I think it'd be my privilege to have a photo taken with them. That's the truth.
Okay,
that's the truth.
Sounds nice.
These insignificant ants who somehow want to
there he's coming
bask
out.
in the reflected glory of me. Yes, I will deign to be photographed with them.
He's coming out, Mark.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm pretty big, but I'm not too big to do that. I always remember the little people, because really, when you're me, everybody's a little person. But you have to be careful because those Lilliputians can take down Gulliver. It's happened. I read about it. It's true. It has been said.
I know you're trying to read, Mark.
Tom Tafelski, thanks for coming in. We'll have you back maybe before the draft next year. You can tell us what's going to happen.
No, I wouldn't even.
Chris Ballard said everybody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
Is that what you said?
I can tell you what's going to happen next year.
Sure. Okay.
All 32 teams are going to get
we'll let
picks
Carson Anderson do that for a month.
Oh, I don't get that.
It's nauseating.
I wish you'd hang around so I can hear the Kurt Warner story.
We can. I want to hear the Smiths again. I'm sure we got a Smiths.
We could probably catch up over that over some Altus.
How did you know about Mike and I going at it when his mom was here? Did you?
We talked about it.
I'm a listener. I'm a Red Shovel Network. I can talk in drops if we need to.
People do listen to the show, Shawn. I know you'd think they don't.
Well, I don't know. I don't assume.
Oh my God.
That was a great one. Yeah.
Was it?
That was a good pie. It was entertaining.
Was it?
I only wish you guys would have had YouTube back then. We could have seen the action.
It was so awesome. Off the air was even better.
Yeah.
Michael, settle down.
You know what? You should never assume when you're investing either, right? You should have someone help you out.
That's a heck of a transition.
I'm just trying to move
segue,
on.
as you would say.
Yes. And one guy who doesn't assume, who looks at numbers, who checks everything out, is Luke Nowacki. He is a sponsor of the ML Soul of Detroit
and the
show.
entire Red Shovel Network.
Yeah, every show.
He's doing so well he can splash it around and support all these shows, which is a sign of his acumen.
Yeah, he's a good dude. If you are interested in seeing what he can do with your money, he can give you a free consultation. 248-663-4748 is his phone number. Luke Nowacki, Pinnacle Wealth. Yeah, give him a shot. He'll get you on the right path, right?
Yeah, and when you call Luke, he'll make it all about your beautifulness, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
And whether you're a dime or you're trying to save a dime, we encourage you to call our friend David Hall.
Yeah, Hall Financials. The spring buying season, it's here. Inventory is on the rise. I believe rates are the lowest in 6 months. So if you think it might be the time to buy, the first call you need to make is to Hall Financial. They have a ton of great programs right now that can save you money off your rate and even help you with down payment assistance. This week, they announced a 1% down program with up to $4,000 of forgivable down payment assistance for qualified buyers. If you're thinking about renovations, maybe you want to take some equity out of the house too, they can help you out with that. Go to our website or you can click on the link. Or I'll just tell you the link. It's callhallfirst.com. But rather you go to the website, ML Soul of Detroit, and click on the link. Or you can just call 866-CALL-HALL and make sure to tell them that we sent you.
So that's 866-CALL-HALL. If you want to do business with Luke or with David Hall, go to our website. We'll have a link to their website. And when you connect with them, please let them know that you heard about them from our show, which, as you know, is ML's Soul of Detroit. And if you're looking for a good time on the east side or anywhere, may we modestly recommend that you visit the Caju Cafe. All day on Monday, it's Muscle Madness, Tom Tafelski approved. He would take a general manager or a preferred free agent there anytime without hesitation. All you can eat mussels. They also have an open jam on Monday nights. This week got some great stuff. Thursday, you can find the Twisted Lemon Blues Band presented by the Detroit Blues Society. Friday, Strictly Fine. Saturday, Ish. Sunday, Eric Goebel's Sunday Fun Day. Every week I screw that up. Eric, would you change the name to something that's not quite so damn clever? And then, of course, there's great music every night. This has one of the latest kitchens you'll find in town. Kitchen's open till 10 o'clock on Sunday till midnight, Monday through Thursday, and Saturday and Friday. Pretty much, if you're hungry, they'll feed you. To find out more, go to cajucafe.com. That's CADIUXCAFE.com. I guess.
There's a link on the website, too.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a link on our website, too. So.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
There's all kinds of reasons not to objectify people or to judge them based on their appearance, which...
Can we make this quick because we want to get to the song because we have an off-the-air story to listen to before Tom leaves, and we need to get to the song so we can hear it.
Why are you talking? He was
You just delayed us.
Get longer.
The Geek of the Week is whatever, the name, and let's go.
Victoria.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It's important to judge people based on who they are. It's okay to tell them they look nice if you think that they would like that. And if they say they wouldn't, then you can just say, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to praying here in church.
There was no stopping you. You've been sitting on that for 45 minutes.
But this week's
No
geek,
Kurt Warner story is going to matter. It just doesn't matter.
Kurt Warner's wife, by the way, a very nice person.
Yeah.
You like the gel in her hair, did you?
I just
put
heard
gel
she's
in
a
her
nice
hair?
person.
I
Is
just
she,
remember it was all spiked
It was
up.
shaved.
what does she look like, Sean? I only know her good works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Victoria Nazirova.
She went to church, by the way, and let everybody know about it.
Yeah, she was very.
Oh, so we can say mean things about people of faith. I get it now.
No. Go to church all you want. Just
people who love the baby Jesus can be mocked.
I'm not mocking her going to church.
Sure sounded like that to those of us who are destined to
no.
spend the rest of eternity in paradise.
I don't dig it when when
you're delaying the story
comes. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sean Windsor, you are. Oh, so, okay. No, Victoria
Okay,
Nazarova.
fine. I'm the geek of the week. What's the song?
So she was convicted of attempted murder, and get this, because she poisoned.
I can't wait.
Her doppelganger.
Yeah.
Yes, she had an American lookalike. She's a Russian-born woman.
Am I your doppelganger?
I wish I had your strong chin,
my
your
turkey,
prominent forehead,
my turkey neck.
Prominent forehead.
It starts at the nose and goes all the way to the spine.
Somebody in my somebody.
That was a cheap shot. But I loved every part.
Somebody in my household calls it a Cro-Magnon man.
I don't think it's quite that strong. Now Terry Bradshaw, yeah, for sure. You're maybe more like Australopithecus.
Oh boy.
Or maybe
so you kept your hair.
Perhaps Peltdown Man.
No, I'm glad you kept your hair.
Not to be confused with Meltdown, who is on another station.
Yeah, that's nice.
And has a very good podcast.
Yeah, no, you got your hair. Good for you.
I feel like I'm being judged on my appearance, which just
I think it's
led to believe that's not appropriate.
I'm glad you got your hair. It makes you feel good about yourself.
And there's my mind being read again. Okay, lots of magic happening here on the airwaves. Anyways, this Russian-born woman finds out she has an American look-alike, and so then she tries to steal her identity. But that's not enough. She tries to kill her with a poisoned cheesecake.
Brilliant.
The district attorney, Melinda Katz, says a ruthless and calculating con artist is going to prison for a long time for trying to murder her way to personal profit and gain. And I dare say, by judging her victim on her looks, that is enough to make you, Victoria Nazarova, our Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Welcome to Room 7609, that part of the show where we say, how are you looking for time? Well, we're running a little long, so we're going to dive right in. This is yet another in our installment of non-new wave songs that were inspired or include something from a new wave classic. So this is New Vibe Who Dis by Madison Mars featuring Little League.
You say hello and I don't reply, got my own friends. You got yours, you don't know me.
Totally stomped on it.
Is this not the right song?
No, this is...
okay.
Yeah, I totally ran right over the post.
It's my fault.
When we're done with this song, we will ask you, do you know which new wave song you heard?
Got a new vibe on
R.I.P. didn't mean to get savage. 2019, but you know the old adage. Never judge a person by the worst picture. Gotta look deeper, gotta find a finsta. Got my own fam, too bad you're not in it. I'm head of the table every night for dinner. You a little salty, better pass a pepper. Go ahead and at me, but I got the paper. Bye, out of my mind. You say hello and I don't reply. Got my own friends. You got yours, you don't know me anymore. I'm on the way up. Look at the ground, I won't wait up. I'm not coming down from this.
Got a new vibe on this. Got a new vibe on this. Got a new vibe on this. Got a new vibe on this.
Got no chill if your colleague got a voicemail. Slide in my DM and I guarantee that you fail. Feeling so high, I'm on another level. They say I'm so bad, call me the devil. Just like a vegetable, we bout to turn up. Whole crowd bouncing, I think I own this stuff. Sun is coming up, but we're on a roll. Do it all again, talk about squad goals. Bye, out of my mind. You say hello and I don't reply. Got my own friends. You got yours, you don't know me anymore. I'm on the way up. Look at the ground, I won't wait up. I'm not coming down from this.
Got a new vibe on
say hello and I don't reply, got my own friends. You got yours, you don't know me anymore. I'm on the way up. Look at the ground, I won't wait up. I'm not coming down from this. Got a new vibe, who this?
That's your QML.
I'm sorry, I was just judging my fellow podcast members. So did it? I mean, Shawn doesn't like new wave music, or
No, it's great. It's great.
like anything.
No,
or
it's
rainbows
fine.
or puppies. So we're trying to bring some other genres in here just to pacify.
I
this.
actually do like that song, and I love you guys. And
Oh my God.
are we reading the feedback now?
So that was New Vibe Who Dis by Madison Mars featuring Little League.
I know that song. I know the new wave song. I have no idea what the name of it is.
Do you know who performed it?
No.
Shawn?
No, I remember.
Can I give you a clue?
No, just say it.
Allison Moyer was in the band.
No, just say it. Go ahead. It's okay.
You know, the more you do this, Shawn, the slower he goes.
Just say it, please.
With Vince from... No? Does anybody know the name Yazoo, also known as Yaz? Don't Go?
Is that the song?
That's the song.
This feels like Ferris Bueller's Class. Come on, man.
He did that on purpose.
Yeah, no?
No, I know the song. I don't know Yazoo or Don't Go. I could not have named. I could not have named it or placed it. No,
I heard you
why
guys
are you surprised by that?
Please don't
talking
go.
about the Blind Pig before the show in Ann Arbor. If you went to any dance club in Ann Arbor or anywhere else before the year 2000, you had to hear Don't Go. I guarantee you, if you
The
go
Blind
to
Pig
any
wasn't a
club,
dance club back in those days.
no, but I'm saying if you went to any club where music was played, I'm assuming that if you went to the Blind Pig, you would have gone someplace
I
else,
saw
perhaps the
Dinosaur
Nectarine
Jr. there.
Ballroom, Good Time
Yeah.
Charlie's, any place where music
What else
was
did I see there? The Meat Puppets I saw there.
Yeah.
The Game Theory. I'm trying to remember who else. Yeah. The
Scratch
maybe
Acid?
maybe the Butthole Surfers. Anyway, go ahead.
I was 6 when that song came out, so I wasn't at the dance halls.
Okay, what's the next segment?
Well, this is the portion of the
Jesus,
show.
Shawn, you know it's gonna make him go slower.
This is the portion of the show that we're going to get through very fast, and that's a shame because it's where we thank our donors. And I want to just give a heartfelt thanks to, yes, no donors this week. So
balls.
now let's cue up that great Max Prokop music bed for our feedback. And we may need both of our commissioned pieces of music because we have quite a lot from our listeners, which we love to hear. I'm going to start us off by saying, Shawn, would you please read us some feedback?
Allow me. And I can see why you gave this one to me. Mike. Is it Mike or is it ML? I'm always confused. Congrats on the success of your column. Would Marc and Shawn agree that you are currently the most powerful journalist in the state? Do I need to read any more of this?
Is that from him?
Do
Did
I
ML
have to
write this himself?
Yeah, it's like Kevin Durant. You got your burner accounts. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think this question deserves some discussion and debate. I mean, what is your gentlemen? What is your position on this question? On
You must be getting bootlicked by every sleazebag Paul from Belle Isle, Ottawa County. Frantic that Bloodhound ML might take aim and put their dirt on the front page of the Sunday Freak. Wow. Only minor critique I have is I think you hold back. Okay.
Who is this for?
What? You could have gone much harder on being kicked out of City Hall. Yada, 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 yada. Keep up the good work, Dan. P.S. I'd like to recommend a show guest, another Mike Cox. I heard Cox on LaDuff last week. Is that Charlie LaDuff?
Yes, he was really good.
And it was the first time I've ever heard him chat at length. Really charismatic and blunt guy. You're both Irishmen, right? Okay, now this answer is going to be all about Charlie LaDuff.
What?
What do you have to say, Mike?
I think I did hold back a little bit, but I think we all understand that if the Earth were any closer to the sun, we'd all be incinerated. So I wanted to reserve some of that power to help make our solar system just right.
You are not just the most powerful journalist in the state. You're the most powerful human being on the planet. Is that fair to say, Mark?
I mean, if we're talking about his perception of himself.
You didn't really sell that, Shawn. It almost had a bit of a question mark at the end of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting past that.
Was there a question in that?
No, there's no question. That's just feedback. I read it. Mike's awesome. And what do you have, Mark?
Yeah, so nobody's afraid of me, but it is crucial that reporters be able to keep a post in Detroit City Hall. As I wrote about on Sunday, which I think was on A4, not the front page, the Free Press is relinquishing its lease on our basement press rooms because, first of all, we want to save some money, and second of all, once we got kicked off the mayor's floor in 2010 by Dave Bing and a henchwoman who works for Dave Bing,
okay, yeah,
we were consigned to the basement, which is the worst possible place to observe what's going on in city government. Now, Tom is a former elected official in Dearborn, and I imagine he would tell you that reporters who go to Dearborn City Hall will see a lot more if they go to the mayor's floor or to the city council chambers than they would next to the broom closet in the basement. Is that a fair
That's
assessment?
a true statement.
It's a true statement. So what ended up happening is when we were in City Hall, we could see things like the mayor's best friend, the mayor's dad, go into the office for freebies. You could see when the mayor was in trouble, a bunch of his appointees would come running into the office. You could see members of city council going into the mayor's office for meetings, which gave you an idea that either they were being shouted at for not getting on board, or they were being wooed so that they would become part of the bandwagon that the mayor was trying to put together for an initiative. It was a front row seat for the way democracy works. It was exactly where a watchdog needs to be. If you're going to be a watchdog, you need to guard the door. You should not be in the basement. And so I have initiated a campaign this weekend, and I'm going to be beating this drum all week and beyond that to try and restore reporters to a prime spot in City Hall, to either the mayor's floor on the 11th floor or to city council on the 13th floor. And to those of you who have been critical of the media for not reporting as much on Ken Cockrell, Dave Bing, or Mayor Duggan, I submit to you there are two primary reasons. One is there are fewer reporters because we can't afford to have the same size staff that we had 20 years ago. And two, and perhaps first and foremost, is because we do not have eyes on the prize because we have been buried in the basement. So if you want to see more and better City Hall coverage, quit bitching to me, call the mayor's office, call city council, call the Joint Building Authority, and tell them you want to see reporters returned to a press room where they can do their job.
Can I ask you a question, though? You said the Free Press isn't renewing the lease. Why don't they just, isn't it better to be in the building, even if it's in the basement, than
Thank you for that.
Than to not be in the building at all?
No, because most government buildings provide free workspace for the media. That's a standard operating thing. And the problem is with the Free Press, we're in the basement. There's no point in being in the basement. In fact, there's receptivity issues in terms of using your phone, in terms of sending stuff. We all work off a laptop now. We don't have routers where we dial into the main office or anything like that. The basement is a terrible space. In fact, you're better off just sitting in a hallway with a laptop on your knees and reporting a story than you are working out of the basement in City Hall. And so we're paying a premium for the worst space in the whole damn building, and that doesn't serve anybody's purposes. Plus, here's the other thing, and I hope people don't miss this point. It's only the Free Press that has access to that space, whereas if the city and the building authority would provide a workspace where anybody could go, which happens in most government buildings like U.S. District Court, like the State House, other places like that.
A couple of examples are enough. I thought
share.
Tom had some thoughts.
Oh, I was going to say, I think the reporters keep the politicians, and I hate that word. I think they're more elected officials if you're actually doing your job and representing the people. The politician thing kind of sounds sleazy, and one of the things why I left was the art of compromise is gone, and some of the backroom deals and that kind of thing. So it'd be nice, but I also think the reporters have a duty and an obligation, if they're going to do that, to follow the meetings at the committees level, at the council level, and not just sit in the basement. But you are correct. You are better off at City Hall, sitting right by that door by the parking lot on the bench and watching who's walking in and out and going up to the executive elevator to that meeting place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't tell you how many times I've actually ridden on the elevator with somebody who I wanted to talk to.
Right.
Somebody who might not have returned a phone call or an email. And sometimes you don't realize you want to talk to them until you get on the elevator and say, what are you doing in City Hall? You work over at the Department of Public Works, or you work over at the police department. What's the chief doing on the elevator looking like he's about to cry? I got a feeling I should make some phone calls about this, even if he won't talk to me. So this is huge for transparency, which every elected official says they believe in. And this is huge for really the defense of democracy. And I know that sounds grandiose, but I'm telling you, folks, we know a lot about what happened during the Kilpatrick administration because we had a front row seat. And I'm also telling you, once we're gone, we won't be back.
Tom, what's the bell mark?
Because they will not let us back in. And I know Shawn agrees with me because he works from a free press box provided by the teams. And that's a for-profit operation, and they think nothing of providing free workspace for the media because they also understand that the coverage benefits their business as government benefits from coverage of what government does. And let me leave it on one last thought. This isn't about dollars and cents, because if the building authority in the city says, well, we really want to have a few more $1,000 rent, well, you didn't seem to be that tough when you gave away $800 million to Mike Ilitch and Stephen Ross. You didn't think that was a bad deal. Well, can you invest a couple grand in preserving democracy and helping the people understand what the hell it is that you're doing up there in your penthouse suites behind closed doors? I think that is a very tiny, infinitesimal down payment on democracy. So it ain't about dollars and cents.
Better late than never.
There we go. Okay.
All right, my turn?
Yeah, oh boy.
Kevin emailed in with a bill.
Can we get some more music? This might take a minute too.
Oh, geez. No, please. It doesn't need to, really.
Kevin emails in a Bill Bond story. ML, great episode.
We're about done, Tom. I promise.
You know what? No one is making this take longer than you. I think I'm correct there. All right, anyways. I think you secretly want to stay longer because you keep dragging it out.
Oh, I don't. I knew when Mike was the greatest journalist ever that was going to be 15 fucking minutes. But go ahead.
Kevin said
that's just one man's opinion.
And why did, you know what? Here's the thing, and I know this is taking, I'm sorry. Why did he hand me that? Why did he hand me that one? And you're about to read about Bill Bonds. Why did he not give you this one? I think we know why. He wanted to hear the words out of my mouth. But go ahead, sorry.
Kevin's
less words out of your mouth actually would make me happier. But,
why are you climbing across the table now? Okay, where am I? Kevin says, my buddy and I skipped school my senior year for the Tigers opening day in 1992. At that game, my only opening day ever, I also got what is to this day the only game ball I've ever gotten. If you recall, Tiger Stadium had those ramps that went into the stands from the concourse. While I'm standing in line at the concession, something hits my shoe. I look down, and it's a ball! It was cranked out by Derek Bell of the Blue Jays, rolled down the ramp and hit me right in my shoe. As someone who took my glove to every game since I was a wee lad, I was thrilled to finally get a ball. Fast forward to the end of the game, my friend and I go to the field to try and get the ball signed by some of our heroes of the Dusty Diamond. Well, we see Bill Bonds hanging around the field and yell, "Hey, Bill!" He looks over and very jovially says, "Hey guys, want an autograph, do ya?" Of course, I did not necessarily want his autograph of my new prized possession, but before I could react, the ball was in his hand, and he filled one side of the ball with his signature in year. Over the years, I've managed to add many signatures to the ball: Sparky, Travis Fryman, Trammell, Frank Howard, Frank Tanana, but it's dominated by Bill Bonds. Now that I'm older, I'm actually glad I have the autograph as well as the story. It definitely makes it impossible to forget my only Tigers opening day as well as my only game ball. He's included a picture. Where's the picture?
Oh,
the picture along.
I have to take a look at that.
That is a good story. I love Bill Bonds, man.
Now, is he trying to build up the courage to ask me to sign that ball next?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
I don't think he wants anything from
Is he not aware that I am the most powerful journalist?
What a bummer that must have been. I wish Kevin, if you're listening, please let me know how old you were too, because I think that kind of plays into it. Like if you're a little kid and you get bummed out.
Oh, here's a picture of the ball.
Look
at this.
Did you see what Tom just did, Mark?
No.
Look at this.
He wanted to know if we needed to make bigger headphones, wider headphones to get over Mike's head.
Take a look at this. He has the ball on a pedestal, and there's a hairpiece on the ball.
Yeah. Oh wow, God, he did take up a lot of space there.
That's a lot of real estate for one
nice.
signature.
Oh, that's nice. Do you put yourself on a pedestal?
I just like to do my work, Shawn.
Okay.
I just like to serve the people. Yeah, and why did he sign at 92? So does this have a greater value than the 89 ball that Bonzo signed?
So he'll remember.
Yeah, it's like part of the story.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe he hit 92 home runs that season. I don't know, but yeah, Kevin, great story. We love to get your stories and your feedback, especially the fawning sycophantic stuff. You can send it to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Please use small words that Shawn can use when he reads it, because otherwise he kind of gets caught up in stuff and it becomes a little challenging. But we love to hear from you. You can even call us. It's theoretically possible at 313-288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070. But please keep the feedback coming. We also appreciate if you rate the show. You just go to wherever podcast service there's usually a rating option there. Just hit that. We love it when you give us 5 stars, but give us whatever you think. But please, whatever you do, just judge us for who we are on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Shawn, has Carlos returned?
He has returned.
Is he back on the Carlos and Shawn podcast?
He will be. We'll be talking about the NFL draft with the great Dave Burkett.
Oh, I guess you were inspired by what you heard today
Nobody
on
better.
ML Soul Detroit, thinking that the draft might be a worthy topic. I guess you'll be talking to the same old people instead of a fascinating guest like Tom Tafelski, who's been flying under the radar with all his amazing stories.
No, this was great. This was great fun. We're going to do something a little bit different. We'll, sort of break down the players and as much as we can. We'll leave it to Dave. How about that?
And Carlos. I love the cut of that guy.
Yeah, right. Carlos has lots of insight.
I like his fresh take.
Oh, yeah, he's already writing about a good quarterback controversy. I was like, oh, my God, that was so nice that he wasn't around to write about the draft. I tried to tell him on our last podcast, you're allowed to write about hockey and baseball.
You hate Carlos.
I love Carlos.
So controlling.
I love Carlos.
Stop trying to control everyone's content.
I love Carlos.
Carlos, you're the boss on that show, aren't you?
No,
You're
I'm
the
not.
boss.
I love Carlos, but
not Hugo Boss.
when you think Justin Fields and C.J. Stroud are the same quarterback, you do not deserve to write about football.
And not even close.
Shawn has never made a mistake.
Go back.
He's omniscient.
That's not really a mistake.
It's also just an opinion. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the Carlos and guest podcast.
Are you done dragging the show out today, Shawn? Do you want to?
No, he has
make
to
it longer. I mean, I do have another job to do.
Cyrus, please.
What?
Take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
My listeners,
no, stars wouldn't be stars without the help of those who make them shine.
Where's the Drew and Mike podcast?
Where's my movie? You're a piece of...
This isn't about money, it's about ego.
That is absolutely not untrue.
If I get you really drunk sometime, will you tell me what happened to you as a kid?